Hey guys, what's up? RAD's Up Productions here, and to start, well, Happy New Year's, guys. Well, I mean, if this video actually gets uploaded by New Year's Eve. But I hope you guys had as good as a year as I did. I got 67 new credits this year, and went to some major parks like Cedar Point, King's Dominion, Knoebels, and Dollywood. So my list has drastically changed since the last Top Coaches video I made. I uploaded my top 15 coaches in early 2019 last February, so if you haven't seen it, well, go check it out first. But enough of this intro, let's start the list. Also, keep in mind this is my opinion. Starting in at number 25, we have Gatekeeper at Cedar Point. I've now ridden two of these B&M wing coasters, the other one being Wild Eagle at Dollywood. I really enjoyed both of these, but Gatekeeper comes out on top by just a hair. Literally, Wild Eagle's number 26. That's how close they are in my opinion. The forces in the back on the wing over drop are pretty cool, and the rest of the ride is kind of just floating through the air, and it feels a lot of fun. Also, not to mention, the keyholes are really good near-miss elements. Honestly, the only two complaints I have about this coaster are the vests and the ending. The vests really limit you from feeling any negative forces, well, I mean, at least for me, because I'm a big, tall guy with a long torso. And the ending is just kind of lame when it's just a brake run and a boring helix, but the helix kind of gives some good wonky laterals, so it's a little bit of redemption. At number 24 is Green Lantern at Six Flags Great Adventure. This is a controversial ride, well, simply because the GP hate it and only a handful of enthusiasts really like it. I really enjoy this ride. It's got a great layout, it's got forceful inversions. Pacing on this thing is also pretty good too. I don't mind the whole standing up thing, and in my opinion, it's a pretty cool gimmick. Number 23 is another one of Great Adventure's coasters, which is BIZARRO. This coaster has some really fun inversions, and the zero-G roll is just bliss. It's whippy, yet graceful at the same time. The ride is long and has a fun layout, and it's always been one of my favorites. At number 22, we have a coaster that really surprised me. Tennessee Tornado at Dollywood was the last air looper ever built, and it was designed by none other than Mr. Alan Shilton. This thing is forceful and smooth. I've graded out about 3 coasters ever in my life, and riding in the back row was one of the times I blacked out. Also, the drop is insane, El Toro level insane. 100% recommend the back row on this one. At 21 is my favorite B&M invert, Raptor at Cedar Point. This thing whips hard, and is also one of the other coasters I've graded out on. This ride is butter smooth and has great inversions. I've never liked Cove rolls until I rode Raptor. Also, that helix at the end feels like it pulls about 20 Gs, and this ride is just amazing. I love it. It's one of my favorites at Cedar Point. At number 20, we have my favorite B&M floorless, Dominator at King's Dominion. I didn't expect much out of this coaster, and I've actually heard a lot of bad things about it, but I actually really liked it. The back right seat was my favorite. The drop has some Raptor level whip. The pacing on this thing is fantastic and just keeps its speed the entire ride. Also, not to mention, the drop off the mid-course in the back actually has some really good airtime. The inversions are good, they're big too. And the Cobra roll, like I said, not a big fan of them, but that was one of the smoother ones I've been on. Really enjoyed it. At number 19, we have one of the first Intimate Hypers, Superman Ride of Steel at Six Flags America. This ride has a weird, yet fun layout. The helices are fun, provide some good forces. Can't forget about the legendary straight section, of course. Also, the airtime hill after the straight section really surprised the entire group that I was with. It has some Toro level sustained airtime when you're riding up in the front row. The final hills also have some pretty good airtime, showing by this picture. At 18, we have the wonky Gale Force at Playland's Castaway Cove. I've given my thoughts on this ride before, so I'll be brief. Good airtime, weird but fun transitions. Now with the double cycle, it's even more fun, and you get twice the ride. My number 17 is over a century old, Wild One at Six Flags America. This ride was amazing. I knew it was good, but I didn't know it was this good. Ejector on floater on every hill. Also, the helix literally feels like you're gonna get ripped out of the train. And my only complaint with the ride was that it was a little rough. Other than that, really good ride. Hoping to get back to Six Flags America next year just to ride this coaster. 16 is another old classic wooden coaster, COMET at Great Escape. This ride, in my opinion, slightly tops out Wild One for giving a longer ride and being a lot smoother. This actually, for an old coaster like this, it's really smooth. Each hill gives great floater, and there's a little bit of ejector mixed in there too. My favorite moment is definitely when you're riding in the back row and you're coming off that first turnaround. It gives this insane mix of laterals and ejector airtime. Really good ride. If you haven't been to Great Escape yet, I recommend it. It's such a nice park, and then this is the absolute tie-in of the entire trip. At number 15, we have Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. This coaster has dropped 9 spots since my last ranking video, but I still love it with all my heart. This ride still has some great floater air times, a fantastic drop, and some fantastic positives. And also, fun fact, this is the 3rd coaster I've grayed out on. I've only grayed out on 3, and this is the first one I ever grayed out on. Now, here's the story. After riding it like 50-something times in a row in one day, yeah, 50-something times in a row in one day, and not drinking water for all those 50 times, smart, I know, right? I grayed out in the Helix, which is always one of my favorite parts of the ride. It has some really good positives, and it's like sustained, so you really feel it. Also, the Helix also isn't only one of my favorite parts of the ride because of the positives. When you're coming out of it into the block breaks, which is the mid-course break on the ride, it has this really cool transition from the heart lining. You can only find this in the right row, or in the right seat, I mean. It has this really cool pop of strong air time. It's really cool. It can only be found in the right seat. And after that, you get the fantastic floater hills on the return trip. Just a really fun ride. I will always love this ride. It was my first big coaster. It means a lot to me. And that just is why it's in my ranking. I just actually like this coaster. At number 14, we have Millennium Force at Cedar Point. This ride is 100% not the best coaster in the world, or even close to it, which the golden tickets make it out to be. But it's still a really good ride. To be honest, the lift hill is one of my favorite parts of the ride because you get that amazing view of Lake Erie for like a good 60 seconds or so, maybe a little bit less than that. It's a quick lift, but not too quick, and it leads right into that amazing drop. The drop is massive, and it provides some really good airtime if you're in the back row. The first turnaround is hella forceful, and the rest of the ride is pretty fun too. The absolute best part of the ride is really the trains. They're spacious, they have those T-bars, and they're just amazing. If it wasn't for them, the ride would just be okay. The best seat is definitely the front in my opinion. You really feel the speed, the forces, and of course, the bugs. Oh, and you can't forget about that station music. At 13, we have another one of my longtime favorites, Storm Rider at Hershey Park. The launch is intense, the ride has great airtime, laterals, and inversions too. It's a really good launch coaster, it's got a mix of everything, and it's definitely my favorite intimate hydraulic launch so far. At number 12, we have the original Hyper, Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point. Now this ride is the definition of Aero's jankiness. It's the good type of rough in my opinion. The first drop and the first hill have really nothing special, besides the view of course. The view at Cedar Point is always great, but after that is just where the ride gets started. The turnaround is the quote-unquote roughest part of the ride. It's more bumpy than rough though. It provides some fun laterals going into that with that weird transition with the turning trims. It's really weird. I don't understand how it works, but that's just my coaster nerd coming out. And after that, you're getting into the airtime alley. Each hill is so sharp. It gives some of the strongest airtime ever, and I rode this coaster around 7 or 8 times when I went to Cedar Point. It had no line, and it was just so good. It's my favorite aero for sure, and I can't wait to get back there next year and ride this again. And my thighs are still feeling it. The lap bars suck, but oh well. At number 11, we have Skyrush. Skyrush has severely fallen in my rankings. It just doesn't hit it like it used to. Still an amazing ride though, with some insane airtime, like some of the strongest in the world. I know I've said that, I think, quite a few times already, but it's literally some of the strongest airtime ever. Also, that drop pretty much still scares me to this day. Starting the top 10 is Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England. This ride has it all. A long layout, airtime, positives, lateral, it's fairly smooth, and most importantly, it has good never mind. Superman has probably one of the best layouts ever to exist, but because of those dreaded U-bricks, the ride is completely neutered of its full potential. If this ride still had the T-bars like it did back when it first opened, it would probably be top 5 in the world. At number 9 is Thunderhead at Dollywood. People said this was a middle-of-the-pack GCI, and I don't know if this is because I've only ridden a handful of GCIs, but this ride slaps. The pacing is crazy, along with its airtime and laterals. Due to my size and where the seatbelt sat on my lap, I was able to get a little bit of room between my lap bar and I, and just wow. The layout is twisty and it's hard to follow, so you don't know where you're going next. It's just a twisted, beautiful mess of a wooden coaster. At number 8, we have the quote-unquote world's best wooden coaster, according to the Golden Ticket Awards. Keep in mind, they placed Flying Turns at Knoebels, a wooden bobsled coaster, above T-Express, an Intamin prefabricated wooden coaster. Anyways, as far as I know, this is the world's only wooden stand-up coaster. Yeah, you heard me. That's basically what the airtime is like. You stand. I'll let the video do the talking.
Hey, whoa, yo. Hit him, Hey, you finna die, baby. Like a chicken and biscuit. Beast of the West, cause you jumping like crickets. No.
At number 7, we have Maverick at Cedar Point. This coaster has a little of everything I love. An insane drop, positives, whippy turns with laterals, a good launch, and of course, trims. Well, what, you thought I was going to say airtime? I'm just kidding, of course this ride has a good airtime. I'm sad I only got one ride on Maverick when I went to Cedar Point, but hopefully I'll be back soon to marathon this amazing ride. But I was lucky and got my only ride in the back. At number 6, we have the quote-unquote world's most intense coaster, Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. I have a full review of this up on my channel, so if you want to see my in-depth thoughts, go check it out. Yeah, really good ride, same positives and whip, some good airtime too. At number 5, we have, you can hear every basic enthusiast preparing their weapons to kill me, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. Just like Intimidator, I have a full in-depth review on my channel, so go check it out, because there's too much to explain here. But in a nutshell, this is still an amazing ride. I love it a lot. Lots of airtime, but it's just not strong enough. And every element feels the same in my opinion. At number 4, we have El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. This coaster has some of the best airtime ever, and out of every coaster I've ridden, this is the one I've ridden the most. I got really close with this ride over the summer, as I was one of the team members of the El Toro crew. Not to toot my own horn, but like, we got some pretty high throughput there. Well anyways, the drop is one of the best in the world. The 2 sustained ejector airtime hills are awesome. The turnaround even has airtime to it too, and also has some heavy positives, which I really love. And it's got that wooden coaster bumpiness that a lot of people don't like, but I like it. I love the 2 little speed hills after that. It gives some good floater airtime, but a lot of people don't like it as much as I do. And then of course, you know, the crazy ass rolling Thunder Hill comes up. And after that you get that crazy twister section. Just love this ride. This ride is not only absolutely crazy, but I love it with all my heart. Not only is the ride good, but I've made so many friends at this very ride, and I've met even some famous people there. Both roller coaster related and some pop stars. But enough with the sappy stuff though. At number 3, we have the controversial RMC Wicked Cyclone at Six Flags New England. This ride is said to have been slower in the past few years and have pacing issues, but I've probably only had one bad ride on this since 2016. The layout is super compact, resulting in an intense ejector airtime and sharp laterals. My favorite element on this ride is definitely the outward bank turns. The 0G rolls give amazing hang time, and diving through the structure is just so much fun. I've always had a soft spot for this ride, and the placing may be controversial, especially since it's above Steel Vengeance, but I love this ride. At number 2, we have my favorite steel coaster, Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. I knew this ride was going to be good, but I didn't realize how good it was going to be. Like, it's really, really great. I rode this on a hot summer day, like, probably 15 times, and it was hauling ass the entire time. The airtime is super strong, those 3 sustained ejector hills are mind-boggling, and they rival Toro in my opinion. And the Trick Track Double Up is my second all-time favorite of any moment on a coaster. The barrel drop is my favorite drop on any ride. I didn't think it was going to be like Toro level insane, but it's even better. The hang time and the whip is just crazy in the back row. And the overall, this coaster is just perfect. And it was my number 1 until I rode Lightning Rod at Dollywood. I was simply blown away by this ride, even on my first ride. And it was in the middle of the train. The launch was fun, the drop is good, the sensation of sideways airtime on the wave turn is one hell of a way to start the ride. My favorite 2 moments on this ride is the outward banked airtime hill, and of course, the quad down, which is my all-time favorite moment on any coaster whatsoever. In my opinion, this ride is perfect, and I don't see this changing from my number 1 spot anytime soon. Well anyways, thanks for watching guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, I hope you guys all have a great new year. And I will see you guys in the next one.